Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. And what are we getting into? You know what we are getting into, and it's Love is Blind season 8. We are now on episode 4, where it was called So Your Girlfriend Has a Boyfriend. This episode, I will have to say, brought around a lot of surprises. I was not expecting to see what I saw and what I heard. But before we get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so we know when I do videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I am on the road and continue to be on the road to 1K. Right. So, you know, it opens up, opening sequence, we know, with the girls sitting around the table just chatting the day away basically, and they're talking about having lunch with celebrities. They were not even at the same table with these celebrities, but hey ho, they're in the same vicinity, so that's what they're talking about. So we see Ben and Sarah have a date, and Ben is basically pumped to be having this date with Sarah, and he's questioning now whether Sarah is his girlfriend now. Okay, so as he's there fiddling with his book and he's chatting, he turns around and he goes down the I love you path, and he says them words and tries to question it, like, did I really say that? I'm like, Ben, seriously though, you could have made that seem a little bit better, because to me it just seemed a little bit staged when he did that. And I think he knew exactly the words that he said, but I think he wanted to bowl Sarah over. But Sarah is not the type of woman to be bowled over like that very easily with little flowery words. So I would say that Ben said that with intent. It weren't accidental. It was accidentally on purpose, basically. And I was just kind of like, come on, brother, please do something better. So Sarah was like, yeah, I think you did say that in answer to his question, basically. So Sarah basically brings up the fact that they need to talk about some things, and she mentions politics, because she's basically saying that they need to talk about the absolute controversial things. And I'm just thinking, at this moment in time, when it comes to this Love is Blind, because each and every one of them, except for some of them, seem to be bringing up politics and views and this, that and the other. And I'm just kind of thinking, is this the buzzword of the day in the pods for this series? Like, seriously, because everybody and their father seems to want to discuss politics. So Sarah basically described that she grew up in quite a conservative household, but she didn't get into politics, she says, until Trump took office. And then the biggest issue that happened with George Floyd, because they're all from Minnesota. I think Sarah only truly felt those issues, until Trump took over and the killing of an innocent black man was recorded, basically. That's where people started to be like, oh my God, I can't believe what the fuck I'm watching at the end of the day. Not realising that, you know, certain people who look like me go through this shit every single fucking day. Do you know what I mean? So, hey ho. So, Ben, I would have to say, said the dumbest shit ever. He was being honest with it, but it was the dumbest shit ever. Like, seriously, especially when you're speaking to a social conscious type of person. Okay, so basically, Ben remained ignorant to the issues. He didn't even vote, right? So I'm kind of like, put the voting to the side for 1 minute. He was saying he don't get involved with it, but I'm just like, after what happened to George Floyd, it was freaking worldwide. It was nationwide. Everybody knew what happened to this man and were upset and in an uproar about it. So for Ben to say what he said was mind-boggling to me, like absolutely mind-boggling to me. He basically was saying, as long as it doesn't affect him, he don't rightfully care. I was just like, oh, blessed be. If Sarah really takes this man, oh Lord have mercy. He's basically saying, I don't care about nobody but me. That's what he was saying in his question. So Sarah basically, which I was grateful for, did literally back that back to Ben and say what he said was appalling. And I was like, well done. Well done, Sarah. And she talked more about George Floyd and asked Ben what is his thoughts on Black Lives Matter, not the organisation. Let's just get that right. Not Black Lives Matter, the organisation, but actually living black lives. Yeah. What does he think about that? And Ben said, I just kind of keep out of it. I just kind of keep out of it. This man has no black friends. Like, seriously, he can't. He doesn't know about, like, black people, people of colour, the community, nothing. Yeah, to say some raw shit like that. I literally was looking at the TV like, in this day and age, dude, in this day and age, you're going to remain as ignorant like that? Like, see, and this is why I'm saying it's not full on ignorance on Ben's part, it's willful ignorance, because he is willfully ignoring the shit that's going on around him because it doesn't impact him. That's what Ben is doing at the end of the day. So Sarah told Ben that he needed to think about these things at the end of the day, and she basically said that she knows Ben is not actively racist. And I'm like, well, what does one have to do to be actively racist at the end of the day? I mean, Ben can be covertly racist, to be fair, because he's kind of remaining ignorant to the plight of others. And in this day and age, I am going to say it's an injustice in and of itself, and that's in my opinion. Right, you can let me know what your opinions are if you have opinions on what was discussed in that episode, but that's in my opinion. I think Ben would be one of those people that would turn around and say, I don't see colour. I'm laughing now, but I swear to God, when I watched that episode, I was like, oh, I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. I am glad that Sarah brought it up. But for Ben, it just looked like it literally just flew over that geezer's head, like completely. He missed the point. Seriously did. So Sarah says, like, you know, to Ben, impressing upon him that it's actually important to speak about these matters as their voice matters. And again, Ben becomes the ostrich, and I say the ostrich because he buries his head in the freaking sand and keeps saying, I really just stay out of it. Sarah's saying that she don't like the answers that he's giving, but on the flip side, she's still sitting there entertaining this man. At the end of the day, he was showing that he doesn't care about others. That's what he's showing in what he's saying. He really doesn't care about others. If it ain't affecting him, as I've already said, he will continue to bury his head in the sand. So Sarah tells him it comes down to basic human rights and equality, yeah, and she needs to be with someone who's literally on the same page, because if they're not on the same page, it ain't gonna work. This is why I said, I'm telling you, Ben wasn't righted in the first place. I said in my, I think it was my very first episode, where I said Ben filled me with unease and made me feel uncomfortable in the words that he says when it comes to marginalized communities. I like that Sarah spoke up and literally told him where she stood on things, and she wasn't playing when she said it. But Ben then says, I do believe my beliefs are with in turn of what you're saying to Sarah. And I think he only said that to appease Sarah at the end of the day. He didn't say it as in, I've had this great epiphany and do you know what, I am going to look into that, I am going to consciously think more about this situation or that situation. No, he was saying it to appease Sarah. Yeah. Because my thing is, how can you go from sitting on the fence your whole entire righted life, yeah? How can you go from sitting on the fence, yeah, not looking left or right as through the world, yeah, and said that he doesn't get involved, to now he leans towards to what Sarah is saying? Bullshit. Absolute and utter bullshit. So, on looking at it, Sarah doesn't seem taken with Ben's answers at the moment. And in her VC, she says that, you know, you can't teach people about fundamental values. So what gets my go is the fact that Ben walks back into the men's lounge and shouts to everybody, I've got a girlfriend. I was like, dude, did you not hear a word that Sarah said? And also, Sarah did not agree to you that she would be your girlfriend at the end of the day. You said, oh, does that make you my girlfriend? And she laughed. Like, she laughed. She did not agree or say or confirm that she's Ben's girlfriend, but yet this man felt the need to go back into that room and tell everybody else that he had a girlfriend. And then you see Sarah in the women's lounge, who's not too happy, literally talking to Virginia and saying that I just don't know, basically, about Ben. Ben really let Sarah down with that talk, and she felt it. So Virginia did ask Sarah, like, you know, do you think Ben will evolve in that issue? And I thought, man has got to the grand old age that he's at right now, and he ain't going to evolve. Like, seriously, he's not going to evolve. That's how he's carried on through life. By the time that this man had been able to start consciously knowing about the world around him and his environment and society as a whole, especially what happens to marginalised communities, this, that and the other, and even after seeing the worldwide effect of what happened with George Floyd, and he still was, I don't get involved with it. He is not going to evolve from that view. Ben does explain a little bit to the men in terms of what him and Sarah spoke about, and he is aware that Sarah didn't like the answers that he gave, but is he going to change his view? Is he going to learn more? Is he going to consider basic human rights and equality? No, he is not. Ben is not going to do that. He's just going to say more than enough to be able to catch a woman throughout this process, which is Sarah, because that's the only woman he's set his sights on right now. So as Alex is talking to the lads, we know when he's talking to the lads, it's about Madison. He doesn't say her name, and it's like the rest of the guys don't really say the girls' names that they're dating in that. And Mason is a part of this conversation as well that Alex is having with Brad. So Alex is talking about the fact that he is now down to one person, and now the person that he was talking to was down to, had 2 people as of yesterday. And I was like, wait, what? I said, who the frick are the others that Madison was chatting to? And I was like, is Love is Blind really been holding out here? Because I didn't know Madison was down to 2 people from the day before. I honestly thought that she just literally started off with 2 people, which would be Alex and Mason. But hey ho, you live and you motherfucking learn at the end of the day. So Alex is basically curious on who is dating who. And this is what I said. Seriously, Alex, you do not want to go down that rabbit hole right about now. Yeah, especially when Madison has not made a clear-cut decision on who it is that she is going to choose. So Mason innocently says, like, he cannot connect the dots of who's dating who, and Alex comes back with, honestly, it wouldn't bother me if I knew. But I'm thinking, yes, it would bother you. I think this was Alex literally trying to push buttons to see who would spill on who it is that Madison is dating. That's what Alex wanted to know. So yes, it would bother Alex, and it would definitely bother Mason at the end of the day. I keep saying that Alex should not open Pandora's box, but he's not one for listening. So Brad and Alex decide that they're in the same situation, because it's still continuing from the conversation that they were having. But it ain't them dating the same girl. They kind of thought it would be them 2, but it's not them 2 dating the same girl. Brad turned around and said, maybe it's Mason. Mason sat there and was like, oh. And then Mason got up and said, it could be. And then walked away from the table. I was like, Rossi, that was so obvious. That was honestly so obvious at the end of the day. So I don't know, truly know, if Alex knows that Mason is dating Madison, or if Mason knows that Alex is dating Madison and Madison is going to make her decision. But the end of that conversation, especially when Mason got up from the table, was hella awkward. Yeah, Alex didn't look as jovial as he first started out, which again I will say was a ploy, yeah, for Alex to get Mason to confirm his probable instinct that it is Mason that's dating Madison. So Mason and Madison have a date right after the Masons had that conversation with Alex. So Mason has literally gone in there because he's thought about the conversation that they had in the previous episode, and he literally wants to make it known to Madison where his head is at, basically. And he talks about how he's trusting in his feelings with Madison, and every time he thinks about Madison, that's where his feelings are. Mason did not say one clear word. He did not make it clear in terms of what the freak it was he was trying to say in regards to his feelings and the thoughts that he had in regards to the conversation that they both had in their last day. I was just like, is it Madison or Meg? Give it some welling, my friend. Like, literally put your feelings out there. If they're not reciprocated, they're not reciprocated. At the end of the day, at least you can say, oh, well, I tried. So even Madison said to Mason, like, he's not being clear at all. He's making it sound elusive. So Mason turns around and says that he will make it clear. So he said to Madison, I am committed to you. Well, I would say the face that Madison gave was not a good look at all. My girl literally sat there and went, as if to say, that's not what I really wanted to hear. Do you know what I mean? Or it's what I wanted to hear, but I'm just thinking to myself, you're not the man for me, basically. I was kind of like, okay then. So Mason's turned around and says that he's committed to Madison. How committed is Mason? Is he going to try and lock things off with Madison or nah, is what I was thinking. So Madison does ask Mason, do you feel like with the conversation that I had, I put an ultimatum on you? Mason says no, but in essence, Madison kind of did, in a roundabout way, put a kind of ultimatum upon Mason, because Madison used the fact that Mason is one of these people where he always lost out to others, or they always dumped him because they liked the other person that came along better or fell in love with someone else. He was the proverbial stopgap in between that. Yeah, she used that against him, basically. And then she used Meg against him too, in terms of getting what she needed to get out of him. So now he's given her what she wants, and then she wants to innocently ask, did you feel like I put an ultimatum on you? In essence, you did, Madison. You did. You literally boxed that man into a corner till he literally couldn't fight no more. Like, literally couldn't fight no more. And all I kept on thinking is he probably went back after that chat thinking, if I don't say something quickly to this woman, I am going to lose her. And that's where she wanted him to be. Make no mistake about it, that is where she wanted him to be, because she was going to drop him from a great height from that. She just wanted him to say what it is that she wanted him to say, basically. He says he wasn't pressured into it, but I believe he was. So Madison is sitting on that sofa now like the cat that got the motherfucking cream up in there. She got what she wanted. She got what she wanted from him. She wanted that affirmation from Mason so bad that she pushed him into a corner, as I've already said. Mason didn't give that naturally. To me, it didn't come naturally when he was saying to her, I just want to be committed to you. It didn't come off natural at all. It felt like he had been pressured in order to say something, because she used his weakness against him. That's a sign of a very, very, very good what is it called? Villain. That's a sign of a very, very, very good villain, when they can use your weakness against you without you even realizing it. And that's what Madison did. That's exactly what Madison did. So they come away from that subject and they talk about the certain foods that they totally like. And Madison brings up the term cream pie, and then they start laughing and giggling and cacking with each other. I'll just put this out there. Cream pie, in the way that they were kikiing with each other, was a euphemism. They weren't actually talking about an actual cream pie. Let me just put that out there for you. But I shall not go into what exactly a cream pie is. Let's just put it this way. That chat flustered Mason fully. Like, fully. And I was just like, at this point, this man is jumping to Madison's beat like a bitch, like really well and truly jumping through hoops to everything that Madison says. So, but my thing is let's see what happens when Meg goes into a date with him and see if his energy shifts, seeing as he just told Madison that he was committed to her. Madison has Mason wrapped around her finger fully. She doesn't fully have Alex wrapped around her finger, but it's getting there. But she definitely has Mason wrapped around her finger. So Madison sees Sarah coming out of her date, And she talks to Sarah as she goes back into the women's room, just before they go back into the women's room, and says that Mason is basically her number two. She tells Sarah that he told her he is committed to her, but she doesn't know how she feels about that. I told you, Madison is a super villain, man. Like, seriously, she likes to play these games of cat and mouse, yeah? But it will come back to bite her in her ass, mate. No mistake, it will come back to bite her in her ass. So, let's just double back and get it right. This girl literally maneuvers Mason to where she wants him, yeah, by using his weakness against him. And then she still has doubts. This woman is a sensei. Like, she's a sensei in the art of manipulation. She really well and truly is. And I'm just like, tick, tick, tick. The clock is ticking. This back and forth ain't gonna last forever. There's a time limit on you people picking who it is that you're going to be with. And that's specifically in terms of Mason. It's specifically in terms of Dave. And it's specifically in terms of Devin. They need to hurry up and pick who they're going to pick. Otherwise, what happens next? So we see Meg and Mason have a date. And Meg is basically asking Mason how he feels about them right now. Mason highlights, them talking to other people within this process. And I thought, well, Meg is no longer doing that, mate. And also, he still does not answer the question. The one thing I've noticed about Mason is he does not answer a direct question when it's asked of him. But the problem with Meg is she doesn't then follow through in regards to, actually, you've not answered my question. Can you answer it? I've asked you how you feel about us right now. Where are your feelings in terms of us right now? But Meg does not follow through on that questioning. Mason will go every which way, yeah, and Meg just literally just lets him do that. She doesn't push him in any way, shape or form the way that Madison does. Meg talks about, like, the aspect of love. And she's not telling Mason that she loves him, basically. She's just saying that she's quite cautious of who she says it to until she knows it's real. But in that place, I would say, on Love is Blind, in the environment that you in at that point, you will never know whether that love is real or not, yeah, until you literally get to a point of doing life with this person, like we've seen with all the other successful Love is Blind lot. You don't know that for sure. Yes, you have all of these feelings, but then it comes down to the individual and that couple on how they're going to make it work once they get out of them pods, once they're on that island or wherever it is that they go when they're engaged, as they literally are pulling each other through life, basically, in terms of living together, meeting friends and family, having those talks. They have to have that level of maturity in terms of knowing, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to accept, this is what I'm not going to accept. And the other person as well doing the same thing, but then both being on the same page in terms of where it is that their life's going to get. If they're not on the same page, it's not going to work in the slightest. That's why I say this is why some of these relationships from this show literally do crash and burn. People are not on the same page with it. They're really not. They like to think they're on the same page. They like to think that they're at this point of, you know what, I really want to get married to someone and I think this is the best way that I'm going to be able to do it. But you have to wade through this shit and mire to get to the gold at the end of the day. A majority of these people don't know how to do that. They really, really, really well and truly don't. Mason talks about his way in showing love is him having a big tub of ice cream, yeah, and letting his partner get the best bite. I kind of get where he's going with that gesture. It's very simplistic in its nature, but that would be for in the earlier stages of your relationship. My thing is, how do you continue to show the person that you've decided to do life with that you love them? How do you continue to do that and keep that love alive at the end of the day? I get the sense that Mason is very much a simple man and is very much manipulated by the women around him. Madison's got his number, but Meg clearly has not. I still do think he's playing a dangerous game, though, in terms of him believing that he's leading two women down a merry path. So Meg turns around and says that she sees love as helping each other learn, grow and evolve as people. That's that's great and all. Like, seriously, that is great and all. They overall, as again, they just literally bounce off each other in each other's weirdness. At the end of the day, you either get it or you don't get it. The one thing I could have done without with though is knowing that Meg's butt tingles when she's either nervous or she's about to break up with someone or someone's about to break up with her. So Meg says that she trusts in her and Mason's connection, but she wants him to know that if he felt a stronger connection with somebody else, because she's got Madison in the back of her mind. Let's not get that twisted. Basically, she would rather hear it from him than him not turn up one day. And basically Mason said that he loved that completely, but I was just like, he didn't even tell Meg. He doesn't give Meg any affirmations. The way he gives Madison, like he went in there and told this girl that he was committed to her and doesn't want to lose her. He doesn't give that to Madison, to Meg in the slightest. He does not give that to her at all. And this is where I don't get, well, why are you continuing to string Meg along if that's not where you see things going with this girl at the end of the day? From that day, Meg walks into the women's quarters literally shouting how excited she is and that all of them there is going to leave engaged. I don't know why Meg does this for, because at the end of the day, she don't pull Mason to task in the date at all. She lets that man run roughshod over him, doesn't question him about shit, but then when she gets into the women's quarters, that's her mouth just run. And this is why I think Meg kind of lives in Delulu land at some points in this. So I know what type of game Meg is playing when she gets in there, because she knows Madison is Mason's other at the end of the day. So Madison is then questioning when she sees Meg behaving in the way that she does. Madison then questions Mason's behaviour due to the way that Meg struts around, but Meg is doing it on purpose. Meg is doing this shit on purpose, yeah. And Mason is definitely not saying, as I've seen so far, the same things he says to Madison to Meg at all. So how Meg is starting to get this confident aura in terms of like Mason's diesel, I don't know where she's getting that from, because Mason's not giving her shit, like seriously not giving her shit. But in essence, I think Meg is playing a game of her own, and I kind of think Madison sees the game that Meg is playing, because Madison ain't stupid and she's not shy in coming forward. Let's just put it this way, all of these women are not above playing games with each other, and Madison is the biggest game player of them all. So Madison is going to she's going to do something in kind, let me just put it that way. Alex and Madison have a date. Alex has brought Madison all of her favourite snack foods which she likes. So Alex was having this discussion with Madison about what her dream house would look like, because he's planning to buy a new home. So they each describe their dream home. Madison, to me, is more excited with Alex than she is with Mason, to be fair. I think with Mason, Madison kind of goes through the motions, and the fact that she knows that she can manipulate Mason into her way of thinking, it's literally, he's lost his shine basically. She ain't about Mason at this moment in time. So Alex talks about how the fact that he's been in love before and Madison doesn't think that she has. Madison just thinks that she's been with the wrong people, but she knows that she has the capacity to love because she's ready to share her life with someone else. Alex says he accepts Madison and will be there to help and support her basically. And all she says is to that is, I appreciate that, but she's smiley, she happy, right? And I'm like, can't she kind of feed into Alex too? Because I see that Alex is feeding into her quite a lot, and I've noticed this with majority of the women, especially when it comes to Daniel having the conversations with Taylor. He feeds into her a lot and she don't feed into him, and I've seen this in terms of Madison as well. I'm just with Madison, she just gives me these weird non-genuine vibes basically, and that she loves to play with people's emotions. That's how I'm seeing it with Madison at this moment in time. So then she starts walking about, and you see Alex start walking about. I think it's their nervous energy, so they start walking about the room, and she then talks about Mason, but she doesn't tell Alex she's talking about Mason. She's talking about her other connection, basically. So Madison says to Alex that she feels her connection will be just a friend, not a full-on connection, basically. And I thought, well, that's not fair to say that to Alex first without you telling Mason, because at the end of the day, Alex is going to go back and tell that group, and Mason's going to be none the wiser at the end of the day. Madison basically said that it made her feel really bad in terms of, Mason coming in and saying, I don't want to lose you, I'm so committed to you, but it made her feel really bad because she already had the idea that, it's not going to happen between her and Mason, which was piss poor behaviour on her part, because she could have told him that from the get-go, from there at the end of the day, but she didn't. Basically, she says to Alex that she wants to be right there with him, and I think Madison played a royal game because she took a step back because of Meg and her behaviour. Yes, she don't really like Mason. We saw that coming through loud and clear after their last date. But she literally played it this way because of Meg, because we'll see in terms of what happens next. So Madison said that she wants Alex, so she asked him, are you ready to progress with me? And of course Alex is going to say yes. Well, he kind of said, I think so, but hey ho. I'm like, you think? You need to be sure about this, my friend, because Madison is saying she wants you, you're one and done now. They basically locked it off, and Alex asked Madison to be his girlfriend, and she said yes. So Madison then talks about to Alex how she's now going to have to break up with the other person, and now Alex is very much curious on who that other person is. And I just thought, Alex, you really do not want to go down that rabbit hole, and I don't think Madison should have told him who it was until she'd spoken to Mason, because it's a bit slack that Alex is now going to know who he is, and he then has to go back in the men's room and try and save face. He can't let them know that because of Mason. And I think it's in poor quality and in poor taste that he really wants to know this, and Madison lets him know who he is, and then he goes back in the room and he has to pretend. That's fucked up. Straight away, Alex goes back, to the men's room shouting, I've got a girlfriend. But will he make her fiance is the question. So Alex goes in and tells the lads, they all cheer, and the women can hear them cheering, So then you hear Madison run back in, and she tells the girls, I've got a boyfriend, and they all cheer her too, even Meg, I might add. So Madison tells the group that the person that she's been with is Alex. So Meg now knows for sure that it's not Mason that Madison picked, but Madison turned around. And this is why I say she's the sensei of gameplay and manipulation, because this is the reason why she literally fucked Meg over with this now. She said, keep it on the DL as I have to break up with someone. Meg knew exactly who she was going to break up with. Because Meg turned to the girls and says, she's breaking up with my guy. I was like, yes, Meg, your plan worked, but it backfired on you. Full on backfired on you. So Alex is telling the guys that Madison is going to end up ending it with the person that she was with, and then he tells the guys that, he asked her to be his girlfriend, and she said yes. Even Mason was smiling and cheering him on and congratulating Alex, because this man well and truly does not know that the woman that Alex was dating was Madison. He well and truly does not know that, and I really thought he did. I honestly believe that he did, but from how this is playing out, Mason has no idea that it was Madison. That no, Madison is the girlfriend of Alex, has no clear idea. So now Meg is plotting and planning on how this information can be brought forward. So Mason, to be fair, is Meg's only choice. And now Meg's only choice is Mason, unless he decides to fight for Madison once he finds out the truth. Either way you spin it, Meg is Mason's backup plan. So now Meg hates it. She hates that there will be no way for her to tell whether Mason picked her, yeah, or not, because his girlfriend, Mason's girlfriend, namely Madison, now has a boyfriend, namely Alex. I say Meg brought it on herself at the end of the day. She kept on coming in that room, gushing up Mason, knowing full well what she was orchestrating, yeah. So she got what she wanted, yeah, Mason to herself. So she literally needs to suck that shit up and just go for it if she's going to go for it. She will never know now who he would have picked, and that's what's playing on her mind. And then she then tells the truth to the girls that she's sitting with, that she's never ever got any strong affirmations from Mason, but yet she came into the women's quarters like Mason was loving her up, doing X, Y and Z. And this is why I said Meg's plan backfired on her, because it serves her right now. At the end of the day, Meg was too busy gushing on the boy, giving the man this easy ride and not really putting out there how she felt about him the way that Madison did at the end of the day. So now she's worried that he will only be choosing her because his choice was taken away. Them's the breaks, I'm afraid, love. Them's is the breaks. So the lads are talking and Alex is in the group. Mason isn't anywhere near, but he's sitting next to Devin. And Devin is literally saying, well, who is it? Who could the other person be in that sense? So Alex leans over to him with his big rasp mouth, basically, and tells Devin, I know who, like, Madison's got to break up with. I'm telling you, this man just couldn't keep quiet until Madison has spoken to Mason at the end of the day. And this is why Madison should have spoken to Mason first, yeah. Instead of letting him do all that talk about being committed, knowing that he is a hanger-on, and she should have told him them, as I've already said. So Alex doesn't say the name, but feels awful. But what he does do is he makes sure Devin knows who he's talking about. When Mason walks back into the room, he says he's walking in now. It's just like, these people are fucked up, you know. These people are honestly fucked up, yeah. And to make it the cherry on top, Mason makes a beeline for Alex, because must have been after his date with Meg, and hugs him and tells Alex how happy he is for him. I thought that must have been awkward as motherfucking hell for Alex, after you just told Devin exactly who he is that Madison's got to break up with. Like, seriously, who your girlfriend has got to break up with. I mean, if it were me, I would have given the man a heads up. Like, seriously, I would have done. And then you just got Alex saying that about to Mason, oh, I love you, dude, and all this, that, and the other, and, you know, doing the bro hugs and all this, that. So Devin is trying not to listen into the conversation that Alex and Mason are having. But me, I would have egged myself into that conversation, because, yeah, I'm messy like that. Like, full on messy like that. You can see that Mason is getting comfortable to chat to Alex about it and everything like that. Alex looks so uncomfortable. Like, he looks so uncomfortable. It's untrue. I thought, but he's been put in that position by Madison. But at the end of the day, someone has to pick someone. So you should have drawn on your big boy panties and literally gave that man the heads up, even if it meant going above Madison's head at the end of the day. Because technically Madison did not tell Alex that she could not go and tell Mason. She just literally said, oh, I've now got to go and break up with the other connection that I had, and Mason wanted to know who it was, and she told him at the end of the day. She didn't say, oh, well, don't say nothing, like she did to the girls, where she said, keep it on the DL because I need to go break up with someone. She didn't tell Alex that in the slightest. But I thought, this is the name of the game, to be fair, at the end of the day. So Alex literally extricated himself from that situation with Mason and went to play like a bit of softball with the guys in the room. That's how he got himself out of it. So then we see Devin and Brittany have a date. She does talk about, like, you know, how everybody is constantly getting emotional right now, And I'm just like, that's because you like are getting in the end stages of this process now. Like, it really does have a time limit on how long a person spends dating. So the choices basically need to come now in the next couple of days, or everybody needs to have got down on one knee and made their motherfucking choice. So Devin will be on the ultimatum list for either Brittany or Virginia at some point at the end of the day. So Devin says to Brittany, like, if Brittany, I should say, if he didn't see a future with her, yeah, he would have told her already. And I just thought, but if that's the case, yeah, what is it with Virginia then? Because my question is, by this stage, these people should know who is pipping that certain person to the post. At the end of the day, who is winning out? So he says he can see a future with Brittany. I think Brittany and Devin would be a better match. Yeah, so Devin talks about his backstory in regards to his basketball. He talks about the issues that made him refuse to say he would never play basketball again. So Devin in essence became addicted to pain medication, and it's basically a testament to how Brittany is, that she felt safe enough to tell Devin her backstory, and he also felt safe enough with Brittany to share a part of himself that he'd not shared with Virginia at this point. I will say at this point, because it does come, right? So Brittany feels for him, absolutely feels for him, and begins to cry as Devin gets emotional too. Like, he said he did have deep feelings in terms of questioning the point of his life, but he wasn't at the point of wanting to do himself any harm. And it was in that made him turn to God to find healing. So within that, he questioned and was sent a path in terms of going back to the GP one last time, which he did. And the GP ended up telling them the condition that he had. So in order to rectify that condition, he had to have two surgeries on each hip bones basically. And he said that the pain went, and he firmly believes that if he did not put his trust in God at that moment in time, he didn't believe it would turn out the same way that it did. And I would say some people have that relationship with God and some people don't. At the end of the day, it's just how it falls. So Brittany tells him basically, as I would have said, there was no reason for Devin to feel ashamed in terms of what happened to him, where it got to him. At the end of the day, it's how he pushed through that and managed to persevere to get to where it is that he is today. I mean, it happens to the best of us, to be honest with you. It's in terms of how we climb out of it and find the grounded roots that make us. No one is perfect in this freaking world at the end of the day. So Brittany was literally saying and feeding into him as to how you would believe that your wife would feed into you, basically. So Brittany talks about how she feels that she could tell Devin anything and share things with him. She felt that Devin was her safe space in that moment in time. So she does have the conversation about her own sexuality. And I turned around and I said, I bet you anything this gal is bisexual. It was just the way in which she was taking it, and I just wanted to see how Devin would take that. So she said that she's had a few experiences with women, and the last experience with a woman opened her eyes. So basically she is saying that she'd never felt like, you know, she wanted to end her life or her person, or what would say, not end her life, but literally get to a stage of marriage and everything in it compasses with a woman. She'd always believed that in her life it would end with a man. So Devin at this point went really, really quiet. So Brittany did lay on the line to say that basically she envisioned herself being married to a man, not to a woman, basically. But these experiences have opened her up to where it is that she actually wants to be. So I thought, okay, let me see where Devin is going to take this. And I just thought to myself, at this point, Devin was quiet, too quiet, and Brittany had to keep going into it to literally justify herself. That's how it came across to me. So he asked, does she still have interest in women? And Brittany basically broke it down and says, it's about the person I connect with. And what happened next is the issue, as Devin will focus only on the fact that Brittany has found women sexually attractive and has had that sexual relationship with women, basically. He won't be able to understand the fact that being with a woman doesn't necessarily end with you wanting to take the rest of your life down that road with a woman. At the end of the day, it's a decision that a person does make, and it's individual decision in terms of where they are. You can appreciate a woman, you can appreciate the goodness of a woman in all forms, and still have feelings for a man that doesn't involve a woman, in essence. Because if that's where your path and your line is going to lead you, that is where your path and your line is going to lead you at the end of the day. It's not a case of Brittany wanting her cake and eat it, which is what I probably think Devin was probably thinking of when she was talking about it. It's not a case of she will run off with a woman, which I think, again, Devin was probably thinking about if he was to pick Brittany and marry her and go down that path with her. And that's what Devin needs to get as well. At the end of the day, Brittany has said that when she gets into a relationship, she is monogamous. She isn't going to then branch off to somebody else because, oh wait, I find you attractive, let me go and get for you. And I think that's kind of the thought that most people have when they talk about bisexuality. Do you know what I mean? Me being a certain way myself, I get where Brittany is coming from, and that's why people who are bisexual tend to often get a bad rap, because everybody seems to think they want their freaking cake and they eat it, or they're going to flip-flop between both, and that's not how it works at all. So for me, the questions that Devin was asking of Brittany at that point in time was coming from a man-centric point of view, especially a heterosexual man-centric point of view at the end of the day. And it just makes me feel that for now, Devin was not fully accepting of Brittany, and it seemed as though he was judging her when that was not the case for her in that sense. I understand that it may be a lot for him to process, and he talks about how it doesn't change how he feels about Brittany, but you can kind of see the change in him and him weighing up his options. She said it would have been comforting to hear from him that, you know what, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't care. And you could see as soon as Brittany said that, Devin's eyebrows went, as if to say, what, you mean me say it doesn't matter, it doesn't care? It does, it matters, and and he cares about it, basically. She does say at the same time she does understand his perspective and his feelings on it, and the fact that he has to process this situation. But as I said, Devin, being a straight man, is not going to get it, and I think this will feed into his decision making. But I am happy that Brittany felt that she was in a safe space to be able to share that part of herself with Devin, and he needs to remember that too. Do you know what I mean? So he basically says that he wasn't ready to hear what he heard, so he's processing it. But then I would say Brittany wasn't ready to hear the fact that you used to be addicted to pain medication. She didn't need to process that shit. She was there for him 100 at the end of the day. I think Brittany knows that Devin may change his mind because of the information that she just gave to him, but I still believe that she needed to be honest. At least if she's honest and she let that out, that's a weight off her shoulders, because she is honest in who she is at the end of the day. He says that he would have to think about it, but what matters is that he loved how Brittany responded to him, and this is what Devin is basically talking to Alex about from the date that he had with Brittany. So Alex basically asked Devin, okay, so is she your number one? Again, Devin makes no definitive choices, and he says they are both back to even, because he says when he goes in to see his number one, which is Virginia, basically his number one is actually Virginia, yeah. And then he goes in and he sees the other one, they come back as even Stevens. I would say the previous episode I was so sold on Devin, like seriously, I thought, yeah, he's not being disrespectful, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. But right now, he is not selling himself to me in the slightest in regards to meeting it down to the bones of why and what he's basing on in regards to how he's going to pick these women apart. Do you know what I mean? Because they are both beautiful women, don't get me wrong, they really are, but I do think Brittany is more suited to him than Virginia at the end of the day. But I think what she shared with him may place her out of it, because she was honest with her feelings. Those that get it will, those that get it won't at the end of the day. So Devin basically says that he sees himself proposing, but he just doesn't know who to yet. And I'm just like, mate, time is eking on. Time is of the essence right about now. You literally, I think it says you have 2 days in which to decide who it is that you're going to be asking to marry you. Either that, you get your ass out of the show if you're not going to do it. So Brittany is back in the women's lane, and she's talking to, I can't remember who she's talking to, but I know one of them was Virginia. And she's basically saying that she didn't like his reaction. She said in essence it wasn't bad and that he needed time to process, but she felt that it was good that they were able to talk it through. So then Virginia, off the back of that, in her own VC, says she would like to leave with Devin, but says that the issue that she found out about is between Devin and Brittany, and it has nothing to do with her. But yet she was in their conversation. Like, she should have left Brittany speaking to Madison. If she didn't want to know what was going on, she should have kept herself out of it completely at the end of the day. But all she knows is that Brittany and Devin do have something in common in regards to the basketball connection, but we'll see how that goes. So Devin and Virginia have a date, and she asked him how his day was, knowing full well what his day consisted of, because she got the download from Brittany at the end of the day. So Devin replies that it was emotional. Devin says to Virginia that anything that she needs to say now needs to come out in the next 2 days. So in essence, Devin is telling Virginia, that he knows you're holding something back, you're holding yourself back, so it's let it out or forever hold your peace, basically. So she says that she has feelings for Devin, but he's dating other people, and that's why it's so stressful. So Devin wanted to express to Virginia that he does like her a whole lot. He does say that the only thing holding him back, is the things that they both need to talk about, but they're both holding back from it. Virginia says in her response that she's shy. And I was like, mate, come on. Shyness needs to take a step back at this moment in time, because if you really well and truly think that you want to walk away with this guy, then you need to open up your mouth and be a bit more forthright at the end of the day. So it's either suck it up, buttercup, or literally just stay stum and hope that you do enough for this man to get down on one knee for you. Virginia says that, she feels the need to say things to people when she's comfortable with them. So in essence, to me, she's saying that she's not necessarily comfortable with Devin, because as Devin says, which I agree with, the next step in this process is engagement and marriage, and being in each other's pockets for weeks upon weeks, basically. So it makes me question the concept of this show is clear. So why did you sign up for it if you're not ready to release some of the baggage that you do have to somebody else when you can't see them at the end of the day? Because that's the best way to do it, when you can't freaking see their faces. But I just think if Devin forces the issue with Virginia in regards to her not opening up, I don't think it's going to be right for her. It's not going to be the right environment for her at the end of the day, because Virginia needs to be able to trust Devin into accepting what it is that she's got to say, because he didn't necessarily accept the situation once Brittany opened herself up to him. And that's probably what Virginia took away from that conversation that she had with Brittany, that Devin is not really a person that you can open up to, because he didn't take what Brittany said quite frankly, nicely at the end of the day, he still had to process that shit, do you know what I mean? So Virginia talks about her examples of love haven't been healthy, and she doesn't want to keep picking the wrong guy or person. I don't know about you, but the way Virginia was talking in this date, she just seemed hella cagey. Like, she seemed freaking cagey about the whole situation in terms of why she doesn't necessarily want to open up to this guy. So she then turns around and she says, like, within dating the realm itself, she hasn't really had to put that much effort into it. And she jokingly puts that, you know, it's like, here you have to be begged to be picked, and I have to give you this whole sell yourself routine. And best believe, I don't think Virginia was joking when she said that. Even though she said, I'm joking, and Devin tried to say to her, no, you don't have to beg to be picked in terms of that. I do believe she was not joking when she said that, you know, she just literally, as she does, she coasts through in terms of dating, given the bare minimum, and she has got to a point now where in this process she doesn't really want to have to go through that process of having to sell herself to a man to make them know that she is the better pick over the other person that you're talking to at the end of the day. This is the process of this whole fucking dating in these pods, though. This is literally the process of it, having to sell yourself to come out on top of the other people. That's how it is. That is literally how it is. I have to be honest though, that for me, Virginia was giving the impression that even though she says that she wants to be there, she sees a future with Devin, she still doesn't open up to this man. Like, she still doesn't open up to him, which is her choice at the end of the day. So he turns around and then provides her with his background, the same background he told Brittany. He changes it up a little bit when he's explaining it, but he does give her, as I would say, the same sub story. And I do call it a sub story because he's now using it on Virginia to open up. And I think he wants to see how she reacts against how Brittany reacts, basically. So I'm like, Devin's playing a little cold number of a game here. I don't know how he was able to recreate those emotions when he was talking about it again with Brittany, as he talked about it with Brittany, as he talking about it with Virginia, but he managed to do it. And I'm like, I don't want to minimize this guy's pain, right? But it don't hit the same way the second time around. Let's just put it that way. For me, it did not hit the same way the second time around. So Virginia just does show emotion as she's sitting on her side of the wall, but only ad libs with the yeah and and this, that and the other where it needs to be added, basically. She does say, I'm sorry you had to go through that, and she thanked him for sharing, but her response was completely different to Brittany's, and I think Devin will take that away in terms of how she responded to his sub story, basically. Me, I don't like emotional manipulation, and I think that's what Devin was trying to do with his show of his story again to Virginia, to see how she would take it against how Brittany took it, basically. That's how I'm seeing it. That is how I'm seeing it. So Virginia didn't open up from that at all. Like, she didn't give him no secrets, no, so his plan backfired on him. And then we see Daniel and Taylor have a date at long last, because again, don't really see their journey at all through this place, and I completely forgot about them. All I am going to say is I really don't think that Taylor likes Daniel much. I don't see it from her. I don't know if this is how she reacts with men per se, or outside of this realm, but within this realm, I just don't see her liking Daniel in the slightest. Like, Daniel's all in with this woman in terms of giving her the affirmations, in terms of wanting to be there for her, and Tyler's just like lukewarm, especially with her responses to him. Even when he turned around and he said, when she talked about like her dad being ill and thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to leave if something were to happen? But she said, you know what, nothing's happened, thank God, I'll be able to continue. And he turned around and he said, like, even if she had to leave quickly without telling him, in essence, what it is that she'd left for, he would come and find her. She just said, oh, I love that, basically. And this is what I'm saying. She doesn't give any signs that she likes this man. Like, I really don't think she wants him, but she's literally got no choice at this moment in time. We go back to the dreaded women's lounge. Okay. So Molly is asking Lauren if she still has 2 people in the running. And Lauren turns around and says, no, she just has the one, and Molly has the one too, which we both know is Dave. Then Molly is literally saying, I know this person, and no matter what, their life would be so fun, easy and adventurous. This is all in front of Lauren, you know, and Lauren knows that Molly is speaking about Dave, but I honestly believe that Molly does not know that Lauren is involved with Dave. I think she has kind of an inkling, but she doesn't know that for sure. So Lauren didn't look like she knew where to freaking put herself at the end of the day. And I'm like, why does Lauren keep putting herself in spaces where Molly is, knowing that she knows Molly is dating Dave? So Meg calls out Lauren on what she is feeling in regards to her person. And Lauren turns around and says that she feels more confident when she's in the room with Dave. She doesn't say Dave's name, but when she's in the room, in that over there, than out in the lounge. And Molly was looking now and paying attention. So Lauren is a bit of a bad bitch, you know. She really is. Now, what Lauren presented with was definite passive aggressiveness, like her backside if I ever saw it. So Lauren says to Meg in front of Molly that she knows who her person is talking to, but she doesn't know if they know that I know. Meg got exactly what it is that she was saying, basically. And I mean, if Molly didn't get what Laurie was saying, we can't help her. I don't know what to say on that. So she says, I don't know if they get it, but they have been pretty obvious, to be fair. Like, seriously. And I was like, well, damn, Lauren, say what you mean. Really say what you mean. So Dave and Molly have a date. So Molly basically opened up the conversation talking about Madison, Alex, and she said their names basically, but she'd not broke it off with the other person. So Dave rightfully said, this is the only time I will agree with Dave, says he is staying out of that conversation as he now knows who Alex was dating basically, and knows who Madison will end up breaking a relationship with. I don't know why Molly couldn't mind her business, sip her water and mind her business on that one. She didn't need to bring that situation out in her day, basically. So Dave basically does turn around and says he regrets the first instance where he was having a dates with women and asking them what's wrong with them. He says he was saying it in a joking way. I still don't believe that in the slightest, basically. So Dave decides to tell Molly that his right testicle is throbbing. I mean, when a person says, I don't know if this is TMI, too much information, it probably is TMI, because we really did not need to know that Dave's right testicle was fucking throbbing at the end of the day. So Dave brings up like specific rings that Molly may like. Even when he turns around and he says the explanation of, you know, we was all discussing it in the lounge with the guys, and I was asking the guys, would it be right of me to say it? But you know what, he's already said it. Nah, dude, you was going to say it to this girl gone ho at the end of the day. So Molly is nonplussed by the conversation. They do talk about rings. Date was boring, nothing really to write home about. Dave said that he wondered if his dad had held a ring from his mum after she passed, but if he had, they hadn't talked about it at all. Dave does highlight that he still is talking to someone else, and that's the first time Dave has ever said that to Molly. He says that the other person is great, but it's starting to separate between Molly and this other person. And he turned around and he did say to Molly that, you know what, you were my number one from the start. And that's true, he said that from the get-go. He said that through some of the other dates, that Molly has been his number one from the start. Dave is basically grateful to Molly that she's not raised or issued an ultimatum with him or put any pressure on him to pick. She's basically stepped back and allowed him to figure it out by himself. And I thought, this is what Molly and Meg do. Like, they gave the men that they're like free reign and hope the boomerang comes back to them. That's essentially what they were doing. So Molly is really confident in this man. So Molly comes into the room and Lauren removes herself quick smart from them completely. And then I thought to myself, in terms of Lauren, it's no use getting mad at Molly for doing her thing. If Lauren has an issue, she needs to take that shit up with Dave at the end of the day. So Lauren is talking to Sarah and talking about how she needs her space between her and Molly for the day. I mean, this was going to happen on this journey. It's not necessarily cut and dried at the end of the day. So it does put you in a space, from my perspective, for a man to be fighting a man over a woman, and for a woman to be fighting a woman over a man at the end of the day. And it's basically whoever's best will win out. So Lauren doesn't believe that Molly says Dave says she is number one. I was like, Lauren, I think you believe that. Yes, he said that, and he's not said that just once. He said a couple of times. Molly is Dave's number one. Ain't no lie told there, I'm afraid, at the end of the day. Lauren is more worried about Molly and what she believes may be true. And I'm just like, mate, you ain't in the room with them. You are not in the room with them. At the end of the day, Lauren needs to concentrate on herself and what she's going to do with that man. At the end of the day, she has another woman who she knows who is dating the man that she wants to be engaged to and leave with. So she needs to have those conversations with him in regards to what the fuck it is he's saying to this woman, yeah, to make her come in and eggs herself out in the way that she does at the end of the day, because that's not from nobody not giving her no hype. So let's not get that twisted. Lauren seems to be reading too much into this situation, like fully reading so much into this situation. So Lauren basically was saying to Sarah, she wants to know who is more delulu here, me or Molly, at the end of the day. And as I said, in that scenario, she needs to talk to Dave, because Molly ain't being delusional. Well, I thought Molly weren't being delusional, and then she fucking proved me wrong at the end of this episode. Let's just put it that way. Molly talking to someone, I don't know who he is, and she's cottoning on to the fact that Lauren may be the person that is talking to Dave, because she believed it was Sarah at first, and Sarah's basically said no, she's never even had a date with Dave. So now she's cottoning on to the fact that it may be Lauren. Now, it's at this point where I think maybe showing a little bit of delusion, because she is telling the other girl in the room, I think it was Virginia, she's telling Virginia that Dave is going to end it with her and she feels bad. I was like, mate, he didn't say that. He really did not say that. He really did not say that he was going to end things with the other person. He literally told Molly that he is like having conversations with somebody else and that it's going well, but he can see a definite divide or separation in the two of them. That doesn't necessarily mean that this man is going to dump Lauren. So there's a date between Lauren and Dave. Lauren went in there all guns a blazing. This girl was taking no motherfucking prisoners today. So Lauren actually said to Dave, your other girlfriend Molly, and she damn well named up the girl, you know. And this is what I said, Lauren may look all sweet and innocent, but the quiet ones be the worst. Let's just put it that way. But Lauren made it seem as though it was Molly was starting issues in the women's lounge when it actually wasn't. So she should have put what she said into motherfucking context, yeah, rather than doing it how she did it, then possibly causing issues between Dave and Molly, because that's not fair to Molly at the end of the day. But I think Lauren couldn't see the wood through the trees at this point. So Lauren tells him that Molly came in proudly announcing that she is Dave's number one connection, which is true. He did say it. He did say that to her. And he said it a couple of times to her. So Lauren needs to wind her neck in on that one. So Lauren does ask Dave point blank, yeah, 1, did you say it? And 2, if you did, why am I still here? Dave was flustered as hell. I was like, yeah, Dave, you was not expecting that, were you? You was expecting Lauren to be meek and mild, yeah, and let you coast the way that Molly has been making you coast. Told you don't know these women very, very well. So Dave said he didn't want to get caught up in the girl drama. Dude, wrong wording or together. It's the shit that Dave caused, yeah? Being gung-ho manipulative with 2 women and stringing each of them along for giggles and bants at this moment in time, yeah? It was gonna come out some way, Dave. It was gonna come out some way. And Dave needs to deal with this shit head on, because it ain't girl drama in the slightest. They ain't fighting over no man. They're not fighting over no man. But Lauren wants to know where she motherfucking stands with this man at the end of the day. Because how do you have a girl coming in that room saying you've been telling her that she has been your number one from get-go, and you've been telling me that you see yourself proposing to me? So how does that work? Lauren's well within her right to question this man. So Lauren tells him he needs to figure out what he wants. I was like, Dave needed to have gotten back to her. But you know, the thing with Lauren is, after she said what she said, she kept on talking. And my thing is as soon as you told this man that he needs to figure out what it is that he wants, you should have left it there on that cliffhanger. You should have left it there and then said to him, get back to me when you have figured this shit out at the end of the day. And then Lauren goes on about how Dave was her number one from day one. Dave did not say a damn word. That man's face was hot. You know his ass was itching like a damn good. Then he didn't know what he was going to do at this bit, and that's where the episode ended. So that is where I'm going to leave it for now, and I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my people, my renegades, you lovely lot, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. Peace out, my babies.